On News Hour tonight, hospital services crippled nationwide as nurses, midwives begin strike. Kwara cleric sentenced to death for killing final year student. ADC in turmoil as Nafi'u Bala declares self-interim national chair. And on the foreign scene, UN M23 rebels massacred civilians in DR Congo. A very good evening to you and welcome to News Hour on Trust TV. I am Fatima Ahmed Musa. Thank you so much for joining. And now we'll begin with the strike. Hospitals across Kano State are under growing pressure as the one-week warning strike declared by the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives entered its second day. From public clinics to tertiary hospitals, patients are bearing the brunt as residents appeal for swift government intervention to avert further hardship. Trust TV's Abdulaziz Ibrahim visited some hospitals and now reports.
Essential healthcare services across federal, state and local government facilities in Kano have been severely disrupted as nurses and midwives stay away from duty. While outpatient units remain partially operational, inpatient wards are in disarray, leaving families to fend for their sick loved ones without professional assistance.
He has
a chest ailment and is bedridden. Since the strike started, we no longer get any help.
I have a liver ailment and the treatment I need isn't coming on time. Last night, I urgently needed a blood transfusion, but we couldn't find anyone to help until very late. The Nurses and Midwives Association says the strike was inevitable, pointing to long-standing unmet demands, including improved welfare, better working conditions, and adequate staffing.
We have 7 demands which we table to the government of the Federation. One of it is increment of our allowances, the shifting and the call duty allowance, which is long overdue. Then we also requested for gazetting of our scheme of service. Also is a long-awaited issue. I think since 2019, we have been agitating for the salary structure we are enjoying as nurses. We are seeking for a review because it stays for a long time and alongside many other demands. So the government should be responsive and they should come forward to address our issues.
Meanwhile, residents are urging the government to engage the union to resolve the dispute without delay.
We call on the government to end this strike. We came with him yesterday. He has been vomiting and stooling, and now he's bedridden. We can't afford to take him elsewhere because of the high cost of drugs and treatments. Please, we are appealing.
As the strike stretches into the second day, the atmosphere remains tense. Without swift resolution, healthcare services in Kano risk further collapse, posing a serious threat to lives. Abdulaziz Ibrahim, Trust TV News, Kano.
Now, healthcare delivery at the Federal Teaching Hospital, Birnin Kebbi, has been thrown into uncertainty as nurses join nationwide 7-day warning strike. The industrial act aimed at pressing home their demands has raised serious concern over continued patient care and service delivery. Here's the report.
The usually busy wards and nurses' stations at the Federal Teaching Hospital, Birnin Kebbi, are now quiet, as nurses have withdrawn their services in solidarity with their colleagues across federal hospitals nationwide. The chairman of the Medical Advisory Committee, Dr. Ashuruladen Arugungu, expressed concern over the situation. While acknowledging the nurses' grievances, he appealed to the federal government to urgently engage the union and find a solution. He also called on the striking nurses to suspend their action in the interest of patient care and allow room for negotiation.
These are nurses that are on strike. Like every other profession, nurses have some of their grievances. They have outlined some areas that they want the federal government to look into. Some of these things is they are advocating for a upward review of their salaries and allowances. They are also looking at some policies of federal government that they think those policies also need to be reviewed. They are also discussing about issue of councils of this federal institution. For the past 2 years, we don't have a governing council.
On their part, the nurses are standing firm. Nurse Atta Kashim, secretary of the nurses union at the hospital, outlined their key demands to include improved working conditions, better pay, and more staffing to ease the burden on existing personnel.
It's a long-standing issue, actually. Some as far back as 2012, some has been as far back as 2016. The issue of our scheme of service is one of the reasons why we are embarking on strike. This was approved in 2016 as the National Council of Establishment in Mina. That is 2016. And up to now, that document is yet to be gazetted and to be circularized. And it's when the document is gazetted and circularized that MDAs and chief executive can act on it. So that is why we're calling on the federal government that it is time for that document to be gazetted and to be circularized so that it can be implemented by some of these MDAs and chief executive officers for our members to benefit.
As the strike enters day 2, patients and their families are growing increasingly anxious. Some fear their health will deteriorate without adequate nursing care. Hence, many are pleading for a swift resolution.
So we are facing a lot of challenges because of lack of nurses that are not around, and a lot of people have been discharged even though they are not even yet recovered. I'm calling to not only for myself alone, but for everybody and for the general public.
Obviously, I felt very sad because a lot of patients here don't know where to even start from. We were all stranded. Like myself, as I'm talking to you now, I'm just about to leave the hospital because the strike has affected a lot of people. In fact, because of the strike, if I'm not mistaken, about 2 people lost their life.
For now, the situation remains tense but hopeful. Talks are ongoing between the hospital management and the nurses' union as both sides seek a mutually agreeable solution. Meanwhile, patients continue to hope that normal services will resume before the strike escalates further.
Still on strike, patients at the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University Teaching Hospital in Bauchi are appealing for urgent government intervention as the industrial action by nurses and midwives enters its second day. They say lives are at risk as critical services remain grounded. Trust TV's Adamu Imam reports.
At the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University Teaching Hospital in Bauchi, over 80% of admitted patients have been left without adequate care as nurses and midwives continue their warning strike. In the male and female wards, some patients like Nusaiba Ibrahim and Ibrahim Murtala have no option but to remain in the hospital despite the limited medical attention.
The nurses have their own duty and the doctors too have their own duty. But mostly it's the nurses that take care of the patient all the time. So the doctors just come only round in the morning. So after that one, till next tomorrow or the next day. So what do you think if a patient have something very critical at the time they are not around?
So my condition is not critical, but some of our colleagues are critical. Even there is one person that was died yesterday night. So because of the gas that was given to him, the water was finished and there is nowhere to be found the water. So I can say it's very terrible.
These nurses are doing their very best. Only God can truly reward them. I appeal to the government to address their demands and allow them to return to work at the hospital, please.
Meanwhile, members of the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives, Bauchi State Chapter, were seen at the hospital monitoring the level of compliance with the industrial action. The association's chairman, Nalhatu Umar, and other executive members criticized what they describe as the federal government's continued neglect of health workers' welfare.
We have just gone around and see most of the work, but I noticed that in charges they are present taking care of some patients that are having serious problem and needing attention.
These patients understand that doing the strike is not mean to harm them or to make them feel unhappy per se, but just to make the government understand the call for the particular profession or for particular union, so as to at least meet their demands.
Look at the situation we are now. Japa syndrome is all over. When I say Japa, influx of nurses moving out of the country. And those nurses that are moving, to tell you the fact, they are trained nurses and they are well-skilled nurses. So if we continue to allow this kind of nurses, we are only retaining those that just graduate from the school. Do you think we are doing good to the system? So we want a situation whereby nurses will stay in the country and be able to give all that patient needed. So we want a situation where patient will be satisfied with the care we are rendering.
Effort to get an official response from the hospital management proved unsuccessful at the time of filing this report. However, the union insists that the current warning strike is only a signal, urging the federal government to respond swiftly or face an indefinite shutdown of services across federal hospitals. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
The national chairman of the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives, Morakinyo Olajide Rilwan, says the association's ongoing strike will persist until the federal government shows commitment towards the actualization of its demands. Speaking on Thursday, Rilwan said the striking nurses will continue to turn a deaf ear to calls by Nigerians to suspend their strike if key demands are not met by the government. The strike, which followed the expiration of a 15-day ultimatum issued by NANNM to the federal government, disrupted healthcare services across Nigeria. Patients, particularly at federal health institutions, were left stranded as nurses under the umbrella of the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives began a 7-day nationwide warning strike, urged by the government's failure to look into the welfare of nurses in the country. Morakinyo hinted that the union opted to carry on with the industrial action on Wednesday despite holding a meeting with the Minister of Labour on Tuesday at the expiration of its 15-day ultimatum issued on 14th July 2025. The nurses are at loggerheads with the federal government for ignoring its demands, which includes gazetting of the scheme of service for nurses, upward review of allowances, specialty allowances for specialist nurses, employment of more nurses by the government, enhancement of nurses' remuneration, creation of a department at the Federal Ministry of Health, among others. Now, the Kwara State High Court sitting in Ilorin has sentenced an Islamic scholar, Abdurrahman Bello, to death by hanging for the gruesome murder of Hafusul Lawal, a final-year student of the College of Education in Ilorin. 4 other defendants standing trial alongside Bello were discharged and acquitted. Here's the report.
It was a tense atmosphere at the Kwara State High Court in Ilorin as the courtroom and its premises were filled with anxious onlookers awaiting judgment in the high-profile murder case. Abdurrahman Bello and 4 others had been on trial for the alleged murder and dismemberment of 24-year-old Hafsul Lawal, which occurred on February 10th this year in the Olulade area of Ilorin. According to the court documents, the victim was invited to Bello's residence where he allegedly had sexual intercourse with her before killing and mutilating her body. After 5 months of legal proceedings, Judgment Day finally arrived. Justice Anna Ajayi entered the courtroom promptly at 9 a.m. and began delivery a 3-hour-long judgment, charged with 5-count indictment. The judge first ruled on the 4 co-defendants, Ahmed Abdulwasiu, Jamiu Uthman, Suleiman Muhyiddin, and Abdurrahman Jamiu, clearing them for any involvement in the crime and ordering their immediate release. However, the court found the primary suspect, Abdurrahman Bello, guilty of the murder of Afzal Lawal. Justice Ajayi described the act as cruel, wicked, and an unimaginable display of human wickedness before sentencing Bello to death by hanging.
The forwarders have been discharged, whereas we told you right from the inception that we can't, as a lawyer, we cannot make pronouncement that they will be exonerated, and yet we cannot preempt the court. But we knew, mere looking at their charges and all the exhibits filed along with it, we knew that they were not liable, and they are not probably to be charged to get that proof against them. You can recall the other time when the men of DSS came, they exonerated them totally, that they knew nothing about the crime.
For the case of homicide, the court expressed that the court was satisfied with overwhelming evidence for the commission of homicide, and Abraman was convicted, and the court pronounced his sentence to be hanged till death.
A representative of the victim's family, Abubakar Adefalu, expressed gratitude to the judiciary for what he described as justice served.
Since the beginning of this court case, we have been here several times for the sitting. We thank Almighty Allah for giving us a victory, justice, as we are expecting it to be done.
With the judgment delivered, the people of Ilorin now await the next move, whether the state government will sign the death warrant or if Abdurrahman Bello's legal team will appeal the verdicts.
As heavy rains continue across the Federal Capital Territory, fears of flooding are once again rising in Abuja. The city's vulnerability, particularly in areas with natural waterways and rapid urban development, has led to repeated flood disasters in the past 2 years. With the rainy season in full swing, residents are bracing for what could be yet another cycle of destruction. Trust TV's Antonia Ebohon reports.
The rainy season has returned to Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory, bringing with it a familiar sense of anxiety. In Abuja, many residents are on edge, fearing the devastating floods that have become an annual occurrence in vulnerable communities. Weather forecasts predict heavier than usual rainfall this year, prompting concern in flood-prone areas such as Trademore Estate, Lokogoma, Galadimawa, Karu, and Gogolada.
Went around all the community that will be affected by telling them that yes, that's how predicted that there's going to be flood, and we have sanitized them. So we are prepared, we are fully prepared. And from time to time, every month, as NESA bring up their data, we also look at the data that concern us, and we inform the community. We have been able to go around all the community, to meet the chiefs, the local government chairmen, and the local emergency council of these communities. We have been able to activate them, and we also tell our volunteers in some of these areas to be prepared. So I think we are on course.
Mohammed, who said the agency is fully prepared for the rainy season, also confirmed that FEMA has been conducting sensitization campaigns across high-risk communities to raise awareness and encourage early response measures.
All the communities that we have been moving to, we have effectively used our volunteers there. And it worked for us, so we are still using them. We have gone around the community, we have make sure that the chiefs inform their people on the extent to which flood can damage their property, and the people are listening. We thank God for that.
During a visit to Trademore Estate, one of Abuja's most flood-affected areas in past years, residents declined to speak on camera, citing concerns over possible backlash from estate management. However, One resident who chose to remain anonymous said the situation has improved significantly since a drainage system was constructed, noting that despite recent heavy rainfall, no flood disasters have been recorded so far this year. Efforts to get an official response from Turmoil Estate Management was unsuccessful at the time of filing this report. Antonia Ebahon, reporting for Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, residents of NUJ Road in Yenogwa, the Bayelsa State capital, have sent a Save Our Soul appeal to the state government and relevant authorities over the devastating impact of recurring flash floods in their area. Many residents have been forced to abandon their homes, while churches in the community now hold services in flooded premises. The resident who blamed the situation on poorly designed drainage systems, which they say have worsened since the road was constructed, are now calling for urgent government intervention. The report.
For residents of NUJ Road in Yenagwa, life during the rainy season has become a nightmare. Churches and homes are regularly flooded, forcing many to relocate permanently. Pastor Goswill Timothy Age of Holy Rock Church of Christ, alongside church members Martha, Clement, and Grace Dolpre from a nearby White Garment Church, recounted the distress of worshiping in knee-deep water. Last Sunday, members conducted service while standing in stagnant flood waters, leaving some sick afterwards.
It's very terrible, but it's just because of the faith people have for God. If not, we will find it difficult for people to come into the church. Some people will come, by the time they get to the gate and saw the flood, they have to go back. It takes people with faith to come and worship, so it's a very big problem that we are passing through.
The water cover everywhere around all the source. On Sunday, we no get where to do source, we dey inside the water. They do the source, they suffer, not the easy. Now our tile, everything don't spoil finish. When the rain fall, they enter from the ground, then they enter from the door.
On Sunday service, we do service inside the water. We stand inside the water and do service. Cold and fever here and there. We suffer a lot. Yes, I need the government to just help us.
Other residents acknowledge that while the construction of the NUJ road was a welcome development, the accompanying drainage infrastructure was poorly executed. They warn that unless the issue is addressed quickly, the flooding could reach catastrophic level as the peak of the rainy season approaches.
Before today, these people were looking for road, and government tried to give us road. We thank them for giving us road. Now, having finished the good work they did, the drainage system has become the problem. Like as we speak, every home, that Sunday downpour, every home here is flooded, including my house, because the water does not flow. So government should call the engineers that did this project to come and see how they will rectify it.
As I'm talking now, chef, right now water is still inside my house. When rain falls, I normally construct monkey bridge inside my house so that my children will not be playing inside the water. Everywhere, even my neighbor's house, recently his bed gets soaked. To the extent, none of them, there are almost 3 of them that are left. They don't sleep in the house whenever rain falls. And it's too cold. Even as I'm talking, I'm even having cold.
From the day they finished this route, flood don't disturb everybody when they live here. And I just flood disturb now, the water disturb, not be flood. No drainage. The drainage don't go anywhere. The drainage just end somewhere here.
The residents are now appealing to Bayelsa State government to recall the contractors to redesign the drainage system in order to allow proper water flow and protect lives and property from further damage. From Yenagwa, Friday, Ebumobowe Peter, Trust TV News.
A leadership crisis is brewing in the opposition coalition-backed African Democratic Congress, ADC, as a Gombe-born politician, Nafi'u Bala, on Thursday declared himself as the interim national chairman of the party. The position is currently held by former Senate President David Mark. Mark was declared ADC interim national chairman after the opposition coalition adopted the party as its platform. Nafi'u Bala, who was Gombe State governorship candidate of the ADC during the 2023 elections, said he is assuming the position of interim national chairman due to his status as the duly elected national deputy chairman of the party. He made the declaration while addressing a press conference in Abuja, where he accused some individuals he described as political hooligans of engineering leadership crisis in ADC.
The constitution of our great party has made adequate provision as laying down in many clauses, articulations that successions, guidelines, and how event vacant position shall be unconstitutional feelings. In the case of circumstances, and also in the further of my constitutional mandate as a duly elected deputy national chairman of our great party, Now, I assume my constitutional duty and responsibility as a national chairman of our great party, African Democratic Congress, ADC, today. Therefore, I am hereby calling on the esteemed Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to so urgently step in to take due recognitions of this development.
The former Senate representing Kogi West, Dino Melaye, has formally resigned from the People's Democratic Party, citing the party's inability to provide credible leadership and deliver good governance to Nigerians. In a resignation letter shared on his official X account on Thursday, dated July 4, 2025, and addressed to the chairman of the PDP in Ward 1, Ayetoro, Egbede Ijomo, local government area of Kogi State, Melaye announced his immediate withdrawal from all party activities. Melaye, who once served as the PDP's candidate in the 2023 Kogi State governorship election, said his decision followed deep reflection on the party's current state and trajectory. He further requested that his resignation be treated as a formal and total withdrawal from all party levels and structures. Melaye expressed gratitude for the opportunity to serve under the party's platform during his time as a member. Now, the 36 states governors under the umbrella of the Nigerian Governors Forum with the Universal Basic Education Commission and New Globe have declared an education crisis in the country, calling for urgent steps to address gaps in foundational learning. This declaration was made during the state-level workshop on foundational learning and out-of-school children held in Abuja on Thursday. The NGF pointed out that a significant number of children in primary schools do not possess sufficient foundational literacy, numeracy, and social-emotional skills required for academic advancement and the development of more complex abilities. The workshop aims to review relevant policies and promote collaborations to tackle foundational learning gaps and reduce out-of-school children across the country. You're still watching News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break. Abuja residents decry health and hygiene challenges due to poor sewer systems. There's some more when we return. To stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining, you're watching News Hour on Trust TV. In case you missed it, here's a recap of our top stories again. We told you that hospital services crippled nationwide as nurses, midwives begin strike. And Kwara cleric sentenced to death for killing final year student. Now move on to more stories. The Daily Trust Foundation, in collaboration with the Nigeria Media Innovation Program, convened a two-day national conference on media sustainability in Abuja, Nigeria's capital, to address issues in Nigeria's media landscape. Trust TV's Amina Ibrahim reports that experts at the event emphasized that building and sustaining public trust is critical to reshaping Nigeria's media industry.
Media landscape is undergoing a transformative shift driven by innovation and the urgent need to rebuild public trust. In an era where misinformation spreads rapidly and traditional revenue models are under strain, media organizations are increasingly embracing digital tools, data journalism, and audience engagement strategies to stay relevant. Representing the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Press Council, Dr. Zili Ozga, said the federal government is focused on strengthening democratic institutions to promote public accountability and foster innovation in the media sector as part of efforts toward sustainable national development.
Since assuming office, President Tinubu has remained steadfast in delivering reforms that enhance transparency, drive economic recovery, and secure the nation's democratic space. From bold economic policies to sweeping governance initiatives, the administration recognizes the critical role of a vibrant and professional media sector in sustaining these gains and deepening civic trust.
Delivering the keynote address, Dapo, publisher of Premium Times, stressed the urgency of future profiling as a deliberate strategy for media organizations aiming for long-term resilience in the rapidly evolving digital environment.
For journalism, this means creating newsrooms, business models, and content strategies that are inherently flexible, robust enough to withstand shocks, and capable of evolving without necessitating a complete overhaul at every turn.
Chairman of the Media Trust Group, Malam Kabir Yusuf, noted that trust remains a cornerstone of credible journalism and a vital tool in navigating the complex challenges facing media sustainability today.
Things are changing so rapidly that we are faced with new challenges every day. How do we survive? Continue our work, we're supposed to be possible. So basically, I thought that we can learn from others and also contribute our own ideas about how the media can survive as a business first.
Other speakers at the forum called for practical, forward-looking solutions to ensure availability media institutions across Africa in face of economic, political, and technological disruptions. Amina Ibrahim, Trust TV.
In parts of the Federal Capital Territory, poorly maintained sewer systems are becoming a source of serious concern for many, as persistent foul odors and environmental pollution have left residents grappling with health, social, and hygiene challenges. Trust TV's Noel Sampson visited one of the most affected areas and now reports.
On TOS Benson Crescent in Utako, near the LEA Primary School, residents have endured a persistent foul smell for over 2 years as a result of a blocked sewer system that remains unattended. Some residents who describe the daily discomfort and health concerns associated with the odor also expressed frustration over the lack of response from the Abuja Environmental Protection Board despite multiple complaints.
We have made several calls, even me in particular. I called over 10 times. There was a time they told me to do video. I did video, I sent to them. We had to Google their number, AEPB, to get their number and start calling them. Not only me, myself, my people in the house, we've been calling. They've not been able to come and do anything. The only thing they came to do was to come and seal house for not paying sewage bill and taking people to court. That was all they did. But to come and address the problem, they didn't come. This thing has been making people sick. People will pass it, will be closing their noses because of this bad odor. And we all know this is very hazardous to our health. Me, I have fallen sick twice because of this.
True, this thing is affecting, it's not only me, it's affecting so many people. Because this thing is more than 3 years here. We have been complaining to environmental, but like there is no any action to be taken. The only things to collect their fee, that one will not go see them again. But where the work is coming, if you take complaint to them, there's no one to respond to you.
Honestly, this sewage is really disgusting. It's not something that we should. This is worse than open defecation because it's very close to me. I stay around here. And health-wise, it's very bad. Health-wise, even openly, is an eyesore. You cannot be seeing things like this every morning you are passing. I pass through this road virtually every day, you know. So, and then the risks involved, what is producing here to this environment is too much. If this water happens to get into any drinkable water, it will cause cholera. You know, government should come and do. This thing has been here for more than, I think, for up to 4 years. When the water level increases, you know, you start seeing it coming out. And we have things like this almost in every street in this environment. So I think government should come and do something about it. If government can come to seal people's houses here because of revenue and they are not doing their work, I don't think it is right.
The team also visited the Wuye district, where residents are dealing with a persistent stench from a nearby dump site located within a residential area. One resident who declined to appear on camera alleged that those in charge of waste disposal regularly drive past the site but have done nothing to clear it. At the time of filing this report, efforts to get a response from the Abuja Environmental Protection Board were unsuccessful, as no official was available at the office. This situation has caused growing concerns about waste management and sanitation in the FCT. Noel Samson, reporter for Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, residents of Makurdi, the Benue State capital, have called for greater punishment for those involved in human trafficking. They made the call while speaking on the sidelines of this year's World Day Against Trafficking in Persons, which is observed on the 30th July every year. Trust TV's correspondent reports that the 2025 theme is "Trafficking is a crime. Stop the exploitation." Now the report.
Human trafficking, often referred to as modern-day slavery, remains one of the most serious crimes against humanity. Though commonly known as human trafficking, the term encompasses a broader definition. Slavery, in this context, refers to a person held in forced servitude, stripped of autonomy and dignity. The head of public enlightenment at the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, Tokwasi Yaji, describes trafficking as a heinous crime that dehumanizes victims and is punishable by law in any just society. She emphasizes the need for individuals to be cautious and avoid situations that could expose them to traffickers.
Human trafficking is an organized crime that the perpetrators are not one, not two, not three. So it is an organized crime. So we need to come out collectively to join hands together to curb this menace.
In the fight against trafficking, officials from the Benue State Ministries of Education and Women Affairs and Social Welfare are regarded as critical stakeholders, while the Ministry of Women Affairs declined to comment. A representative from the Ministry of Education described trafficking as a highly lucrative venture for criminals who deliberately exploit victims with no regard for the emotional, psychological, or social toll. The ministry urged parents, guardians, and caregivers to closely monitor their children and worse to prevent tragic outcomes.
Sometimes they take these children in the name of helping them, put them in better schools. Sometimes that they will give them a better job. But at the end of the day, it turns into a different thing altogether. So if this thing is not put to a stop at this moment, between a minimum delay, you discover that most of our children have been trafficked to other states.
Assistant Police Public Relations Officer DSP Peter Ochia reiterated the force's commitment to citizen safety, called on victims to report incidents through appropriate channels.
Then I would advise you as parents to be more attentive to your children while taking them to school. Ensure they are properly dropped off to a guardian or a custodian in the schools, in which they take authority over them, and most times we encourage them to remain on a safe areas or within the school confines. So let people who come and pick them up be people known to the school as authorized guardians.
As the world marks World Day Against Trafficking in Persons, stakeholders are calling for sustained public awareness, vigilance, and support. The goal is to protect vulnerable individuals, eliminate exploitation, and counter the dangerous narratives often propagated through social media and within communities.
The Kaduna State Police Command says it has arrested 456 suspects involved in various crimes, including a notorious bandit kingpin who had been on the run for 11 years. The Commissioner of Police, Muhammad Rabiu, disclosed this while parading recovered exhibits, noting that the command recorded significant successes in its fight against crime throughout July 2025. The report.
The arrest were the result of the coordinated intelligence-led policing, effective community partnerships, and robust operational strategies across the state. One of the high-profile breakthroughs, according to the police, was the arrest of a bandit kingpin who had evaded capture for over a decade.
The notable achievements are arrest of one Mati Bajo, a notorious bandit who has been on the run for 11 years. On 18th July 2025, Mati Bajo, who had terrorized part of Kaduna and Katsina states for over 11 years, was arrested in a village under Shika district of Giwa local government, Kaduna state. Weapons and items recovered from his hideouts are one AK-47 rifle of English type, one fabricated AK-47 rifle, one pump-action gun, 2 pistols magazine, and 85 assorted ammunitions.
Also among those arrested was a notorious impersonator who had been posing as a high-profile figure in the society to defraud unsuspecting members of the public.
On 19th July 2025, a 59-year-old serial impersonator called Wanamina Ado Yerima Mel was apprehended in Nasarawa State by our detectives. The suspect has impersonated several high-profile figures, including governors, federal ministers, federal areas and security officials. We recover several SIM cards, phone numbers of senior government officials.
The commissioner assured residents that the Kaduna State Police Command remains committed to safeguarding lives and property. He also called for continued public cooperation to sustain the momentum against criminal elements. Bella Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Now, the Police Service Commission, PSC, has called on the Federal Character Commission, FCC, to cooperate fully ahead of the upcoming recruitment exercise into the Nigerian police force. Police Service Commission Chairman, retired DIG Hashim Osaliu Argungu, warned that any individual found engaging in fraud or racketeering during the recruitment will be dealt with decisively. The report.
Argungu made the call when he paid a courtesy visit to the acting executive chairman of the FCC, Kayode Oladele, in Abuja. The visit signifies a strategic partnership between the two agencies in preparation for recruiting cadet assistant superintendent of police and inspectors. Argungu noted that although the recruitment date is yet to be announced, the PSC is determined to recruit only qualified Nigerians, ensuring the process is marked by equity and merit.
We, as members of police service commissions, we feel there is a need to come and appeal and solicit or beg for your partnership and cooperation in doing this national assignment. Because going by the act establishing the Commission, Federal Character Commission, there are certain things to look for. Gender issue has to be considered. Local governments, states, and geopolitical has to be considered.
Oladele welcomed the visit, emphasizing the importance of interagencies collaboration and upholding constitutional values of justice, fairness, and unity.
The Police Service Commission, as the institution responsible for appointments, promotions, and disciplinary control in the Nigerian police force, plays a crucial role in the administration of justice and the security architecture of our nation. Your responsibilities intersect significantly with the constitutional mandate of the Federal Character Commission, particularly in the area of equitable distribution, representation, and inclusiveness in the composition and operation of the police force.
The collaboration aims to foster an inclusive and diverse police force, which is essential to building public trust and reinforcing national peace and security, in line with the federal government's renewed hope agenda.
Now, President Bola Tinubu has approved a one-year extension of the tenure of the Controller General of Nigeria Customs Service, Bashir Adewale Adeni, whose tenure was initially scheduled to end on August 31st, 2025, will now remain in office until August 2026. The announcement was made on Thursday in a statement by the President's Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga. According to the statement, the extension is intended to allow Adeni to consolidate ongoing reforms and complete key initiatives under Tinubu administration. Onanuga said the president recognized Adeni's leadership and expressed confidence that the extension would further strengthen the customs service in areas such as trade facilitation, revenue generation, and border security. Adeni was appointed Controller General in October 2023 after serving in an acting capacity. And now in business, the Director General of the Nigerian Communications Satellite Limited, NETCOMSAT, Jane Egerton Idehin, says the agency is projecting an average annual revenue of $3 billion as it seeks to reposition itself as a major driver of Nigeria's digital economy. Egerton Idehin made the announcement on Thursday in Abuja during the July edition of the Dev Singh Government MDA Workshop Series organized by the Ministry of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy with support from Galaxy Backbone and the World Bank. This month's session focused on NETCOMSAT's operational transformation under the theme Driving Operational Excellence Through Technology at NETCOMSAT. The Director General explained that NETCOMSAT is exploring new revenue streams beyond traditional broadcasting with a focus on extending the life of its product and delivering more innovative solutions to Nigeria's connectivity challenges. Egerton Idehin emphasized the importance of awareness creation around NETCOMSAT's services and solutions, noting that broader visibility will be crucial to sustaining growth and attracting enterprise clients. African Airlines increased cargo capacity by 6.2% year-on-year in June 2025, even as demand for freight on the continent fell by 3.9% according to the latest global air cargo data released by the International Air Transport Association. The June 2025 report showed that this mismatch between growing capacity and weakening demand was not unique to Africa. Across all markets, cargo demand measured in cargo ton kilometers grew by only 0.8% compared to June 2024, while capacity expressed in available cargo ton kilometers rose by 1.7%. For international operations alone, demand was up to 1.6% and capacity increased to 2.8%. IATA linked the modest growth to trade tension, new U.S. tariff policies, and the impact of conflict in the Middle East. These factors weighed on some long-haul trade lanes, particularly those to and from North America and parts of Asia, while routes within Europe and between Europe and the Middle East showed more resilience. And now away from Nigeria, the United Nations says M23 rebels in the Democratic Republic of Congo killed at least 169 farmers and other civilians earlier this month. In a report that its Human Rights Office shared with news agency Reuters, it said the attack took place on 9th July in the Rutshuru territory of North Kivu province. The UN said the M23 targeted suspected members of another rebel group, the Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Rwanda. The FDLR includes remnants of a Hutu paramilitary force responsible for the 1994 genocide in neighboring Rwanda, but M23 leader Bertrand Bisimwa said the UN report may be a smear campaign, adding that the confirmed accusations will be investigated. Now, a deadly firefight erupted along the Uganda-South Sudan border, leaving at least 6 soldiers dead, according to Uganda's military. The clash, which occurred in Uganda's remote West Nile region, was reportedly sparked when South Sudanese forces crossed into Uganda territory and refused to withdraw. Uganda's army spokesman, Major General Felix Kulangege, said 3 South Sudanese troops were killed in retaliation after a Ugandan soldier died in incursion. However, a South Sudanese official claimed 5 of their soldiers were killed in what he called surprise attack. Both countries' militaries have agreed to cease fire and promised an investigation into the incident. The two neighbors have long disputed stretches of their shared border, despite a joint demarcation committee working towards a 2027 resolution. At least 23 people were injured when a fairground attraction in Saudi Arabia snapped mid-ride, sending its full carousel plunging to the ground, media reported on Thursday. Footage circulating online showed 360-degree ride breaking in half when the circular carousel crashing down from a height of several meters. The Saudi Arabian owned Al Arabiya TV channel reported 23 injured, 4 of them seriously in the accident on Wednesday. The amusement park in Taif, southwest Saudi Arabia, has been closed while an investigation is underway, Al Arabiya added. Saudi Arabia has been building multiple leisure and entertainment attractions as the long cloistered desert country seeks to diversify its oil-reliant economy. Among its so-called giga projects, it's Qiddiya near Riyadh, built as an entertainment city of theme parks and a motorsport track. And now it's time for us to join Joseph Peter for sport updates.
Nigeria Basketball Federation (NBBF) has confirmed that interim coach Mohammed Abdulrahman will continue at the helm of the Tigers as preparation for the 2025 Afro-Basket Championship gather momentum. The Tigers began their training session earlier this week following the release of the preliminary roster for the Continental Tournament by FIBA Africa. Nigeria Basketball Federation (NBBF) announced on Thursday morning that Abdulrahman will retain his role as head coach, leading the team into the championship. Abdulrahman, who successfully guided the Tigers through the qualifiers, has been praised for his dedication and efforts in securing the team's place at the competition. The nation's young shotlads delivered a dominant performance in the badminton single event, where they struck gold twice on Wednesday at the ongoing inaugural edition of the African School Games in Annaba, Algeria. Nigeria's first gold of the tournament came courtesy of Precious Oluwagbotemi Adekunle, who showcased incredible skills and reflexes to defeat her Egyptian opponent in the girls' singles final. With powerful strokes and tactical finesse, Adekunle sealed victory in time, setting the tone for what would become a golden day for Nigeria. Subsequently, Edun David Damilare followed suit in the boys singles category. In a contest marked by determination and grit, Edun fought from start to finish to outclass his opponent, securing Nigeria's second gold medal in the badminton event. With these victories, Team Nigeria is hitting the perfect note, having clinched 2 silver medals a day prior at the Games. That's Sport News. I'm Joseph Peter.
And with that, we have come to the end of News Hour on Trust TV. Do not forget to watch and catch us across all our social media platforms for more news, programs, and documentaries. I am Fatima Ahmed Musa. Thank you for watching.